The moment she stepped out of the car, the rain-soaked city lights reflected off the polished marble entrance, and she felt a tightening in her chest she hadn't felt in years. Not fear, not regret, but something far heavier. The kind of feeling that rises when the past suddenly stands right in front of you, uninvited, breathing, and painfully real. She had prepared herself for boardrooms, headlines, and judgment from strangers, but not for this, not for the man she once loved standing just a few feet away, holding a tray instead of a future. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories that remind us how deeply human we all are, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps keep stories like this alive. She was known now as a self-made millionaire, a woman whose name appeared in business magazines and charity galas, her success framed as inspirational and enviable. But tonight, she wasn't thinking about net worth or reputation. She was thinking about her twins, seated beside her in the back of the car, their small hands clutching menus they had grabbed from the hostess stand earlier, eyes wide with excitement at the idea of a fancy dinner downtown. She had promised them a special night. What she hadn't promised herself was the strength to face a past she believed she had buried. Years ago, her life had been painfully different. She had married young, fueled by love and dreams that felt unbreakable at the time. The twins had been born during the hardest chapter of their marriage, when money was scarce and stress lived in every corner of their small apartment. She remembered nights of silence heavier than arguments, mornings filled with exhaustion instead of hope. Her ex-husband had been a good man once, or at least a man trying his best under the weight of his own failures. But trying hadn't been enough. Bills piled up, opportunities slipped through his fingers, and resentment grew where affection once lived. When she finally left, she did it with shaking hands and a heart full of guilt, carrying 2 infants and nothing else. The years that followed were brutal. She worked relentlessly, often sleeping just a few hours a night, building a business from nothing while raising twins alone. There were moments when she questioned every choice she had made, moments when she wondered if survival was worth the cost of loneliness. But perseverance hardened into strength, and strength into success. Slowly, the world began to recognize her, to celebrate her story as one of triumph. Yet no matter how high she climbed, one truth followed her like a shadow. Success doesn't erase memory, and money doesn't heal unfinished wounds. Inside the restaurant, warm lights spilled across linen-covered tables and soft music hummed in the background. The twins were delighted, whispering excitedly and pointing at the elegant decor. She smiled for them, brushing their hair gently, reminding herself why she worked so hard in the first place. But then she saw him. Not across the room as a guest, not seated comfortably with friends, but standing near the service station in a faded uniform, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes tired yet familiar. Time had been unkind to him. His hair was thinner, his face marked by years of disappointment, and still, in that instant, she recognized him completely. Her heart raced. This was not how she imagined seeing him again, if she ever did. She had pictured chance encounters at events or distant sightings on social media, not this raw collision of worlds. He hadn't noticed her yet, too focused on balancing plates and responding to hurried instructions. For a moment, she considered leaving. She could take the twins somewhere else, spare everyone the discomfort. But something rooted her to the chair. Maybe it was fate, or maybe it was the quiet voice inside her that said running had already cost enough. As the meal progressed, the twins laughed and enjoyed their food, unaware of the storm brewing inside their mother. She watched their faces, seeing echoes of the man across the room in their expressions, and felt a familiar ache. They knew their father only through carefully chosen stories, gentle and incomplete. She had never spoken ill of him. She had simply said that sometimes adults grow in different directions. Now, watching him work tirelessly in silence, she wondered what stories he told himself about her. When he finally looked up, their eyes met. The recognition was instant and devastating. His face froze for a fraction of a second before composure returned, but she saw it all. The shock, the embarrassment, the unspoken question of why now. He glanced at the twins, confusion flickering in his gaze as realization slowly dawned. She felt the weight of that realization land on both of them like a shared breath they had been holding for years. This was the moment where pride could have spoken, where bitterness could have dictated her next move. She could have pretended not to see him, finished her meal, left a generous tip, and walked back into her comfortable life. No one would have blamed her. After all, she had earned everything she had. But as she watched him turn away, shoulders stiff with shame, something inside her shifted. The success she had built suddenly felt hollow if it couldn't be used for compassion. She did the unthinkable. She stood up. The restaurant seemed to quiet as she walked, heels clicking softly against the floor, each step a confrontation with the past. She wasn't sure what she would do until she was already doing it. She approached him not as a millionaire, not as a symbol of what he never became, but as the woman who once shared his dreams and bore his children. She placed a hand gently on his arm, steady, intentional, human. The years between them collapsed into a single, fragile moment. She didn't speak loudly. She didn't accuse or explain. She simply acknowledged him, acknowledged the life they once shared and the pain they both carried differently. She invited him to the table, not out of obligation, but out of understanding. It was an invitation not just to dinner, but to dignity. At the table, the twins looked up with curiosity, sensing the gravity of the moment. She introduced him not as a failure or a ghost, but as their father. The word hung in the air, sacred and terrifying all at once. He hesitated, eyes glassy, hands trembling as he lowered himself into the chair. Years of absence and regret pressed against his chest, but so did something else, hope. The rest of the evening unfolded slowly, carefully, like a wound being cleaned for the first time. There were pauses, awkward silences, and moments when emotion threatened to overflow. But there was also laughter, tentative and unsure, and stories shared softly. The twins asked innocent questions, their curiosity free of judgment. She watched him listen, truly listen, and felt a cautious warmth return to a place she thought was permanently cold. She didn't offer him money. She didn't promise reconciliation or rewrite the past. What she offered was far more radical, forgiveness without conditions, and the chance to be present moving forward. She understood now that her success had given her power, but compassion gave her peace. She realized that healing wasn't about erasing pain, but about transforming it into something meaningful. As the night came to an end, she paid the bill quietly, not as a display of wealth, but as a simple gesture of closure and kindness. Outside, the rain had softened into a mist, and the city felt quieter, gentler. The twins walked between them, each holding one of her hands, glancing up at him with shy smiles. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel heavy with unresolved questions. Just before we reach the end of this story, take a moment to comment below and share what this moment meant to you. Your words might resonate with someone who needs them today. She knew challenges still lay ahead, trust would take time, and wounds don't disappear overnight. But she also knew that tonight had changed something fundamental. The cycle of resentment had been broken. The story was no longer about who succeeded and who failed, but about what it means to choose humanity over pride. Near the end of the evening, as they parted ways, she felt an unexpected sense of gratitude. Not for the pain they endured, but for the strength it had carved into her heart. She watched him walk away, not diminished, but standing a little straighter than before. And she realized that sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is not rise above others, but reach back down with an open hand. If this story touched your heart, if it made you reflect on forgiveness, love, or second chances, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps spread stories that remind us we are never too broken to choose kindness. That night, as she tucked her twins into bed, she understood that wealth had given her comfort, but compassion had given her legacy. And in choosing empathy over ego, she had finally become richer than she ever imagined.